and welcome to The Robust Marketer. Today, I am thrilled to have a personal friend of mine, Paul Jayapal from Synapse Media Group. I first met Paul when we were both working at GoToMobi, less than a year ago now for both of us, I think. And he since has become a super affiliate, focusing mainly on Facebook, running all kinds of offers from lead gen to CPA to everything in between to agency stuff as well. He came and spoke at Facebook Mastery Live and launched his speaking career, which I'm sure is to take off because he blew everyone away with 4 amazing tips he gave for people on how to really... It was 4 techniques that super affiliates are silently using to crush Facebook ads. It's burned into my brain because I'll never forget it. He's a Victoria boy, born and bred. Great to have him on the podcast today. Hello, Paul. How you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for having me on, and that's quite the intro. I'm really happy to do the podcast. When me and Eric are working together at GoTo, I was kind of known as being the guy who completely loved and was enamored with the internet marketing, almost to like a hobbyist sense. So it's really nice to have the opportunity to kind of like chat with other fellow affiliate marketers and really talk about stuff that I enjoy doing. So, I'm really happy to be on the podcast. I'm ready to tune in and share some good info.
Nice. Okay, well, let's just start with your marketer's hero's journey. What brought you to where you are today? Why have you been so obsessed with marketing for this long, and how did you get started?
So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I didn't really even know what the word meant until I was like 15, 16. I started a window cleaning company, and I almost fell off a 3-story building. And I quickly realized the service industry wasn't really for me. And then I started adapting, and I really got into more technology-based stuff. And it's actually a pretty crazy story. I got into internet marketing because at the time, pretty wild story, but I lost a bit of money because I ended up investing with some people and got ripped off, and I had to kind of go back to square one. And square one for me was driving cab, and I ended up actually driving the head of an affiliate network, like the owner, home one day, and I saw that he had like this massive mansion, and I was like, what the hell does this guy do for a living?
Is that Todd Dunlop?
No, it was Elton.
Okay.
So I ended up getting his card and being like, hey, like I really want to learn about technology and what you do. And he totally introduced me to the affiliate industry. And then he put me in touch with one of his senior affiliate managers. And she gave me the realism. She was just like, 99% of people fail in this industry, so better get ready to like know your odds and get into it. But then I would just drive around in my cab all the time and just listen to podcasts, every single article. Like I read Charles No's blog back and forth. I almost knew every thread on STM at the time, like just dug into it knee deep and got to know it. And then I would take half my paychecks from driving cab and just start running affiliate marketing campaigns. And then that eventually got enough experience. I ended up working at GoToMobi with Eric as an internal media buyer. And then I kind of crafted my skills some more. And then kind of came time where I was ready to kind of leave and do my own thing. And then I recently set up shop with 2 other really good friends of mine. And, we've been crushing it since. And it's been quite the journey, a 5 or 6 year journey. But that's the thing with affiliate marketing. They say when you're going through hell, don't stop. That's usually the 2 or 3 year mark for most people. And then once you come out the other end, that's when you start crushing it. So a lot of lessons learned, but it's been a journey I wouldn't trade for anything else.
That's very interesting. And you've also reincorporated your first gig in that you're also running your own taxi company at this point as well, because you found a neat loophole in the market.
Yeah, this is kind of like my hilarious go-to of business opportunities. I learn a business inside and out, and then I go do it on my own. So yeah, like having worked in cab for a couple of years, I ended up actually figuring out how to get the government to give me the licenses. So went through a 2-year process, and we got it hasn't happened where I live in almost like 15 years for people to be awarded new licenses. But we put a huge proposal in front of the government, and they awarded it to us. So it's kind of groundbreaking stuff that hasn't happened in a long time. So we're really proud of that. So yeah, if you ever come visit Victoria, the Tiffany blue cabs, they all belong to me.
They're gorgeous. I see them all the time. And I always look. I'm like, is that Paul? I'm like, oh yeah, no wait, he's a super affiliate. He's not driving. He's not driving.
Yeah, I don't drive anymore, but yeah. I luckily get to dial them when I'm intoxicated to take me home.
Yeah, well, that's nice. You got a hotline, I'm sure. That's always handy. Well, I guess you have a couple more years in the cab business until Uber comes.
Yeah, we got a couple years left, and also I don't even know if I'll be involved by the time it comes here. So
Gotcha. I wanted to talk to this is something that you and I share that not a lot of people do. I've done some affiliate marketing on my own, but I came up through Neverblue, through the global wide business when it was Neverblue, as an internal media buyer. What made you go from being an independent affiliate to an in-house? What was the benefit of being an in-house affiliate when you already were an on your own affiliate to start?
So I would say like a lot of affiliates have this like mentality that if you go to work for somebody, you're not truly an affiliate or whatever that is. Like I truly don't believe in that because like the when you work inside your own bubble, you don't really understand what the benefits of running a large company are. And a big reason that I went to work at GoTo is it wasn't so much the media buying knowledge because like when I got there, a lot like I was a hobbyist, so like I was already like on top of what was working and all of that. So I wasn't really looking to soak up knowledge in terms of media buying, but truly understand the structure of a startup, right? Like I'm a one-person team. What does it take to make $30 million, $50 million, $100 million and run like 28 staff or 40 staff? That was what was intriguing to me, is because like as a super affiliate, sure you can be the nomad guy that makes like a couple $1 million a year and runs around the world. For me, my personal goal is to build a large company and sell it. So for me, it was an opportunity to work inside an ecosystem that I didn't understand. And you kind of have to put your entrepreneur hat and take that off and be like, hey, I'm going to be an employee. But at that time, you kind of soak up everything around you. I learned a ton, man. Like I would never trade that experience for anything. Like learning how to work with a team, how to structure having a media buying team, how to take offers laterally, how to run like everything in an organization, like having OKRs and teams to manage. Like that is not shit you're going to learn by yourself trying to be an affiliate, knocking out campaigns. So I felt that it was an investment in myself as an entrepreneur to become a better startup owner, CEO, long-term strategist, as opposed to just trying to be a super affiliate and just hone my skills on my own.
And you also answered this question, I realized, when you talked about your style of going into a bit of doing a business, figuring it out back to front, and then replicating it yourself in a way, right? Like, and that's really, I think that's such a great answer, because there is, even though it was a bunch of other young people just kind of like building a company, it was all people who were your contemporaries. It wasn't like you were going to work for Goldman Sachs or anything like that. But at the same time, they were focused on building structures and building things that were repeatable and scalable, which is a huge lesson to learn.
Yeah, and at the time when I came in, it was only like a handful of guys. I think there was like maybe 10 or 11 people there when I got there. Mm-hmm. And so it was really just starting to explode beyond just like a small team. And that was like, I got to watch that from the ground floor, going from a small team to like 30 or 40 people, which it's like, if you're trying to do that on your own, it's very challenging. And if you get to watch it one time beforehand, you have a lot of like insights into how you can do that effectively. And to speak to the whole like replicating thing, I don't want to set the precedence that I always copy stuff, but what I like to do is like I like to figure out what's working and add my own flavor to it. So like with the cab industry, we're the only company in town that has exclusively 6-passenger cars, which made us completely different from what was out in the marketplace, and that's why we started crushing it. When we started media buying, when I left GoTo is primarily a mobile company. I saw a lot of opportunities in the Facebook space, but I took a lot of what I learned about managing media buying teams and how to run a bigger business from GoTo and adapted that into what I'm doing with our business. So it's always like, yeah, learn as much as you can, make that your core competency, but then add your flavor or your spin to be your differentiator and then build your business that way.
And it's funny, that's like a microcosm for how people talk about running campaigns too. When it comes to something like ad spying, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that's what you want to do. You want to survey what's out there, see what's working, and then innovate on ways that you see opportunities in the space.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, you got to find like people who try and copycat campaigns. You'll continuously see that like you will get some results, but you won't. Like the guy who's killing it is like the second or third affiliate to figure it out and just absolutely blow it out of the water. So when you're becoming a media buying team and you're trying to really like kill it, you got to be able to take what you know, but you got to add your own flavor, your own twist to it, and be able to provide X amount of value on top of what you're already copying in the marketplace.
And that can be structural things like how you've set up your accounts. That could be your cash flow, which is better than other people. That would be your relationship you have with an affiliate network or with a specific advertiser, so that you don't have budget or cap concerns. All of those things are ways that you can add value, even outside of the actual campaign.
Yeah, and one thing that I would like really give a piece of advice to a lot of affiliates and newer affiliates too is that sometimes there is an advantage behind the scenes that you cannot see. And you got to be very careful of that because when you start chasing the unicorn and you think you can replicate somebody's campaign, but you're not privy to what that invisible advantage is, you can absolutely get blown out of the water. And sometimes it's like an internal media buying team, right? Like you see something running heavily on pops and you're like, oh man, I could get this to work. But you have no idea that that's actually being run by the internal team who has a 50% discount on the traffic, and they're going to absolutely blow you out of the water no matter what. So like when I look at campaigns, I'm always trying to figure out, like, does this guy have something, like could it be an internal team or some advantage that I don't know about before I start trying to go ramp up and chase him? Because it has to be like a level playing field for me in order to figure out if I can beat him. And then I also stack up what I have as advantages and figure out, is that going to take this campaign, full blast, right?
That's interesting. So speaking of the invisible advantage, let's just talk a little bit. So first of all, we really started working together when you came and spoke at FBML. And I got to say, people keep talking about their favorite talks at the event. You were definitely one of the favorites. You gave very practical, like I think you had 7, but you only had time for 4 super practical tips on how to really drive amazing results on Facebook, and they were super good. And because of that, we're inviting you back to Bangkok, so we're gonna at least get the rest of those 7 tips. We're gonna have a fun time there. And then also We're doing a short acceleration module on the Facebook Masterclass, which launches any day now. And it's actually called right now the Invisible Advantage Next Level Ad Spying. So talk a little bit about that particular invisible advantage, and don't give it away yet because we're going to make it an acceleration module that people can purchase. But talk about what your sort of methodology is when it comes to spying and how it's different.
So like the key thing with spying is that like a lot of people are like, it's like entrepreneurial nature to be very excited and ready to run and launch a campaign, and that's the fun creative part of it. But a lot of people end up losing 80% of their testing budget because they don't do the due diligence that's required. So for me, I like to step back. Like I'd rather do a day or 2 of intelligence and then run a campaign, as opposed to like running it first day and then trying to troubleshoot day 2 and 3 because it's not working. So and I also think that like there's some guys out there that really know how to do spying really well. Like one of the top guys I could recommend is like I Am Attila. Like he wrote a fantastic guide on STM about mobile spying back in the day. And if you really get in there and learn how to spy properly, it's not just about like one query search and saying, oh, okay, these 3 ads are here. It's about really digging down and like getting nitty gritty and finding all the elements that you need and making like a plan of attack. It's not just like looking at other people's ads. Like I'll sit down, I'll write out all their copy, I'll check all their targeting, I'll check out all their competitors, check out their volume, like not getting too much into detail. And then I'll create a master plan around, okay, I think these guys are the ones crushing it. This is their approach. This is how we can refine it. Now let's go figure out a plan of attack, right? Because the more of the more due diligence you do and the less discovery you do with your own budget, the more likely you are to hit a winning campaign, right? If you spend way too much time trying to dig through the weeds and do it all on your own, you're going to end up failing. Like copy the guy that's working, but do it well, like, and go in depth when you're actually trying to find the research on them, right?
In order to, are you basically trying to like, are there ways using your spying techniques that you're also trying to figure out what their invisible advantage might be over you, or is that another part of the process?
I usually just try and figure out like more or less what their strategy or approach is. And then, but like, for example, like the advantages of like getting preferential traffic prices, like that's not really going to happen to you if you're running on Facebook or Google. That's more if you're like, running on like a third party traffic source. So it really depends where you're spying and what you're looking at. But like, I typically try and figure out their entire approach. And then I also like try and go through the entire flow of how they set it up, not just through like, just the ad itself. I'll try and track down like the ad, landing page, the whole entire flow, and then check it with a VPN and just see like, okay, if I was a user, what am I going through here, and try to understand it from start to finish. Because part of like learning any vertical is understanding why that user's converting and why that flow is working, and then kind of reverse engineering, and then once again adding your flavor or your kind of expertise on top of that, right?
That's interesting. That's something that I see across all of the tips you give, is this sort of this idea of like inhabiting your customer's mindset. And if you don't have that customer's mindset, going out there and talking to people who do, using YouTube comments on videos and things like that, using all these ways to really speak to your audience and really identifying your audience first. It seems like a no-brainer, but I bet a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, and like, sometimes we forget to use data that's already out there. Like I know, with headlines and stuff like that, I posted about this a little while ago on my Facebook page about like, sometimes trying to discover the best headline. Like everybody wants to be like the Ogilvy of headlines and whatnot, but like there's no knocking just like copying a really good headline. And so for me, like sometimes I'll just like use like BuzzSumo, or I'll go to Google searches and I'll just use keywords, and I'll figure out, because Google's algorithm already sorts things with the component of CTR based in, you already can tell kind of what the top performing headlines are, and you can use some of those templates as ideas for your own headlines, or BuzzSumo or otherwise, right? So like you don't always have to go inventing your own stuff, and like sometimes trying to be the pioneer will get you killed, right? Like, and so that's why like I try and go for using different tools. Like this is kind of back in the day when I used to run a little bit of adult traffic. I know people would always try and figure out like what banners to use, right? And then what I would do is I would just go to the most viewed videos and just look at the thumbnails. And I'm like, well, people are clearly clicking on these names and thumbnails anyways. And then I would try and reorganize my ad to look like the top performing videos, like the thumbnail and the ad copy. So it's like the computers or their system's already telling you what's the most viewed thing. So why are you trying to figure it out and break their system? Just like copy what's there and adapt it for yourself, right?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Okay, so we don't have a ton of time here. It's 4:30 on a Friday. I got to head to an island for the weekend, which I'm excited about. But there were three topics that you brought up that you thought would be good to talk about, and I think you're spot on with the most relevant thing we could possibly talk about. The number one thing, I think, is this memo. Not a memo. It's part of their help documentation that Facebook put out, basically as a press release, essentially, where they specifically named cloaking. They specifically talked about the methods that they're going to be using to try to stop this cloaking thing from happening. And everyone knows that Facebook advertisers in general, are split into black hat, gray hat, white hat advertising. What does this memo say to you? What does it say to black hat advertisers in your mind?
The PR press part of it was obviously trying to scare the hell out of all the black hat advertisers, but I think like the guys who have been in the space long enough know that like, they've actively been working on this. It's not a secret. Like everybody knows that like new rounds of algorithm changes have been coming, and if you compared it to like 2 years ago, it's gotten drastically harder.
July 1st was a big thing, right? Like just July 1st, that first week of July was like the night of the long knives. I've heard there was a lot of people lost a lot of accounts at that point and have continued to throughout the summer.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Facebook around that time started introducing stuff like the retroactive ad disapprovals. So it used to be that, like, your ads just get approved once and they were off to the races. Now there's some sort of secondary checks going on in the background. So, like, even after your ad's approved, it gets randomly checked and it can get retroactively pulled. So they've made a lot of different changes on the back end. And my opinion is that, like, yeah, the whole putting that PR press out there was, hey, we don't want this on our platform. We really care about user experience. And it was kind of like puffing their chest towards the brands. But I also think that, like, the most mature ad platforms in the world, like AdWords and GDN, they still have cloaking on them. So, like, I mean, that's like a 15 or 17-year-old ad platform, and it's still suffering from it to this day. So I think that it's going to come to a point where it's like, where is it diminishing returns for Facebook, right? Are they really going to employ 15,000 people to go stomp out every black hat ad, or is getting rid of 95% of it good enough to maintain user experience? And I think that for them, they're investing in it because brand dollars don't want to be bidding next to some guy pushing Garcinia. But at the same time, I think it's coming to a point now, like, I've seen the circle of people who do this, like, shrink drastically. And I'm pretty confident that the group that's left is probably going to ride out the next few waves. Is it going to go away completely forever? I highly doubt that, because, like, just as crafty as Facebook engineers are, so are black hat marketers. So they'll find a way to, like, kind of like go through the patterns of figuring out how to get it to work. So I think it's going to be around, but I think the footprint of Black Hat is definitely going to shrink. And you can already see that people are like running in droves to run e-commerce and all kinds of lead gen stuff because they just can't get Black Hat to work anymore. Like the whole account system is totally flawed for them.
So you're saying I can't title this email Black or this podcast Black Hat is dead? That would be too controversial, maybe.
Well, you could, and then the first line of your email has to say almost.
Almost, yeah. I guess that's the tactic there, I guess. Anyway, but again, and it's like, if you're saying if they're going to be able to get rid of 95% of it, I bet you it's going to be more profitable for that 5% that really do ride the waves.
Yeah, like I can tell you I talk to people actively who are doing it, and I can tell you ROI is up right now. For everybody that can still maintain standing in that ecosystem, they're doing a lot better than they were before because it's not a bunch of like newbies that are saturating the market trying to do it on their own. It's like very well established guys. And the thing is, like Black Hat 3 years ago could be a solo operation. Black Hat now is like a team structure. Like you need multiple people to be helping you do it. It's not a solo affair anymore.
No, and because it's not just they're using a lot of human checks, but they've also just built they brag about their algorithm all the time. I was talking with Patrick about this course that we're putting on, and he was talking about how literally if you run this is another thing about copying people. If you ad spy someone and you copy it and that ad was banned from someone else, they can just sort of like fingerprint that ad and be like, yeah, that ad was already run before it was fraud. It was Black Hat then, it's Black Hat now or whatever, and they can just ban you like that.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of like, I'll give you guys two interesting insights. So the image signature thing has been around for a while, and the way most people get around that is like, for example, if you take a video that's been banned and you just like process it through Premiere Pro and you just change it from like, MP4 to like a different video format and you add like a gradient filter or something, they'll throw off the signature. So it produces a brand new signature, and that's how people are getting stuff through. But Facebook has gone way beyond that, man. Like now they're doing what Google's been doing for lots of years, which is they're actually taking a cache copy of your website. So they can tell if you clone a brand new site and just throw up all the same content, they can see that footprint was already banned somewhere else on their network. So they've got a lot of like the AI stuff is getting more and more sophisticated. But the double-edged sword on that is the more you look like a real user account, the harder it is for them to find you, right?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So the way that I see this happening is it's going to filter out the newbies unless they're being taken under the wing of very established Black Hat people. Newbies getting into the space thinking they can get into Black Hat, it's going to become harder and harder for them to do that. So what do you think then is their best opportunity in the space for newbies coming in, that there isn't that easy path, maybe, or it's no longer an easy path because of all the technology, all the know-how you need to have in order to play that cat and mouse game with Facebook. So newbies coming in, what do you feel is the best opportunity for them at this point?
I honestly think that e-commerce is probably like the best place to go. I know it's pretty saturated. It's like kind of a hot topic and everybody's doing it. But in terms of the learning curve, just the pure amount of resources that Shopify allows users to have, like just in their like knowledge database or whatever, there's so much information there that it's enough to get you started. The real difficulty with becoming like a regular affiliate marketer is you got to learn tracking, you got to learn hosting, you got to learn landing pages. Like there's like a million things you got to dial in and be half decent at in order to start crushing like regular campaigns. Whereas, with Shopify, if your pixel's integrated, you don't even need a tracker. You can get off to the races. So I think that if I was to get into this space today, I would be focused like on spending, 5 or 10 grand trying to rock out a Shopify store and get that going. But like I said, it's if you're in internet marketing for the long haul, Shopify is hot right now. But lead gen and doing like cost per sale and all kinds of Facebook opportunities are going to be here for the long haul. So if you are dedicated to being in the industry for a long period of time, it is worthwhile looking at those other opportunities because you can make 20 to 30 grand a day pushing finance. You can do it doing like refi. You can do all kinds of verticals, solar, like that can work on Facebook, right?
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and I feel like Shopify is what's really hot right now. This idea of drop shipping. I think the same thing is going to happen at a more rapid pace, where people figure it out. Facebook, I think, has already had rumbles about like putting in limitations on on shipping times, for instance, which might take a huge section of the people who are drop shipping from Alibaba sort of out of the races because the shipping time won't be sort of in line enough to keep the user experience high. But it's just like anything else. If you're investing in learning affiliate marketing, you can invest in e-commerce from maybe a deeper perspective, maybe where you're actually sourcing products. And maybe that's the way I see Shopify and drop shipping, is it's people that can like get a few quick hits, get some wins, while they're maybe investing in a longer term strategy when it comes to e-commerce, like that involves product sourcing and the whole gamut.
Yeah, I think like with the e-commerce thing, there's a couple things that I see coming, and like I said, the shipping thing is definitely one of them. I've noticed that like if you take a look through most of the Shopify stores that are being run, Facebook's running surveys on the back end to say like, hey, was your product delivered? Were you satisfied? Blah, blah, blah. All that tracks back to your ad account. So if somebody says like, oh, I haven't got my product in like 60 days or whatever, it's going to cause a lot of issues. And like, you know, we already started running some Shopify stores. And what we've noticed is even when we offer 2 to 7 day shipping, sometimes 15-day shipping, and we have people within 2 days like messaging us being like, where's my product? So if they're impatient on like a 7 to 10 day window, I can't imagine how much they're going to freak out at the, 30 to 60 days where some of these e-packet products are coming from. And so I think shipping is going to be a huge thing. And I definitely think Facebook's going to come down and say like, hey, if you guys can't deliver stuff within like 15 days to, 3 weeks, like get your stuff together, get your logistics together. We probably don't want you on the platform. Because the way Facebook looks at it is people start blaming Facebook. People don't fully comprehend that it's a third-party company selling something through Facebook. So they ended up messaging Facebook support and blasting them saying, I didn't get my product. So I definitely think shipping is going to be one of the things they're going to tighten up. Also, I think there's going to be a big push to get rid of like borderline health products out of Facebook, stuff that's like, like I already know that they started banning black mask because there's people who are getting rashes and stuff like that. So when you're seeing certain products that, might have like a skin reaction or a health reaction coming out of China, I think they're going to be a little bit more stringent on the vendors that they let through. Maybe if you're like a U.S. manufacturer of it and you can provide your like FDA approvals and all your packaging information and all the data to back it up, maybe you can run. But I highly doubt they're going to in the future let like a bunch of affiliates or Shopify owners push like borderline health products that could cause skin issues because Facebook doesn't need that blowback in the media. So I think stuff like that is going to be changing. And I also think that like the days of like random general stores are probably going to get hit too because people don't trust like a random site that sells like everything from like, watches to like, charging cords and like 10,000 products. I think it's going to be more the businesses that survive and the Shopify stores that survive are people that are going to be building real brands. That are invested in the long haul, right? Like, I think modeling yourself after, like, I think it's called MVT watches or whatever, like those kind of big brands, if you try and become those, you're going to succeed. But if you're trying to, like, exploit the overnight drop shipping, that window is closing pretty tightly.
That's interesting. So this makes me, so I have a couple questions. One, I have a question about your sort of procedure for product sourcing. Like, do you have any insights you can give on how people can go about picking a product to sell on e-commerce?
So I don't do it typically the way that everybody else does it. Our team, the way our team focuses on doing it a completely different way, which is that we try and look at who the top spenders on Facebook are and what kind of products they're pushing, and then identify verticals where like we know advertisers are spending $30 to $40 million. So it's not about trying to find like a breakthrough product that just like is hot for 30 days. It's about finding verticals that are proven that we know like time and time again are going to generate 20 to 30 million online on Facebook, and then trying to come up with our own SKU of brand that can go and compete with that, and then jump in there. But we'll also like, we'll model what the leading person is doing to a T and change out the products, change out everything else, like all the images on the site, run that and see if we can catch up to them or break even, and then start building on top of that.
Oh, that's interesting. So my other question about e-commerce was, what are some of the innate, so when we're, I came from the STM family, the Affiliate World Conference, iStack, where we've been focused on this affiliate marketer and specifically affiliate media buyer sort of verticals where we come from, the pops and the display and even to the Facebook and search and everything like that. But the thing about e-commerce is people have been coming at it for the past 5 years from a totally other perspective because the barrier to entry is so low. So they've been going after housewives and and stay-at-home moms and dads and people who aren't hardcore affiliates who know how to arbitrage clicks. These are people that just are internet savvy, and these are the people that have been really making the biggest splash when it comes to e-commerce. So affiliates who are jumping into it late, maybe they're coming from Black Hat, maybe they're coming from other traffic sources where they've had a lot of difficulty making things work. What are some of the sort of innate advantages that affiliates have to catch up to these people that have been doing it for the past 5 years?
I think a lot of the advantages that come from being an affiliate is understanding like conversion optimization, like understanding like what different apps and stuff that you can use to increase the conversion rate on your page, and also understanding that like affiliates are really savvy at running on multiple channels, right? Like if you are completely dedicated to making your Shopify store a success, it's probably not. It's in your best interest to not just be running Facebook traffic, but running, GDN if you can get it to work, running on Yahoo Gemini, and then also, running a sequential like email campaign to go with it, retargeting. I would imagine the advantage an affiliate has is being able to set up a Shopify store so much more comprehensively than just some mom and pop who's kind of reading through the Shopify, base tutorials and stuff like that. Affiliates really understand like the end-to-end funnel perspective of things, and also what they can do with the data that they get afterwards, right? Like if you have like a 10,000 person email list, you can now start hammering them email campaigns to try and generate more revenue. And I would believe that affiliates are much better at monetizing the entire Shopify ecosystem that they put together a lot better than regular advertisers, like just people that are mom and pop shops.
I think that's interesting. I think there's probably a little caveat there, which is because I know a lot of affiliates, it does require a mindset shift to tackle the consumer throughout their length, right? Like I know a lot of affiliates throughout, in my experience dealing with them, are more about that quick arbitrage of click to conversion, less concerned about the way things play out over time. But that's something that you just have to be focused on when you're selling a product, when you're building a list. You've got to focus on the full lifetime value of a consumer and wringing out as much value as you can.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is like what philosophy are you bringing to your store, right? Are you trying to just do a smash and grab and make like as much money in the next 2 weeks?
Eclipse glasses right now.
Are you focused on really building like a real brand, right? Like a lot of the people on AliExpress or pushing AliExpress products, they don't even consider that they could take a product and possibly make it better or add their own spin to it or get an exclusive line or do certain things where they can actually build a real brand out of it, right? Because like the rest of the world that isn't drop shipping, they're all doing like different things with the opportunities, right? They could be going to actually distribute real products to different stores and developing their own lines. This is totally possible with what you're doing, right?
Interesting. This question is out of the blue, so we may have to edit it out if you don't have an answer for it. But Akatif in my last podcast, which I'm happy because it's going to hopefully be a tidal wave where we can get a lot of views. He's a beast, but he's almost at 1,000 views on YouTube already from our podcast that we just released earlier this week. So, but awesome. his whole thing is thinking about things in 5-year increments, where you really want to think about where you are now, where you want to be in 5 years, and you backdate your plan sort of to get you to where you want to go. I know you guys have your hands in all sorts of different things. What's your general idea of where you'd want to be with your company in 5 years?
My vision for having our company in 5 years is to be like, hopefully 50 to like 100 employees and 3 divisions, right? Like focused on owning our own e-commerce brands, focused on some core niches like in specific verticals where we're some of the largest volume lead generators, and then having a division that's exclusively R&D where we're trying to figure out, either build a traffic source or some sort of technology that would allow us to kind of like get a better valuation for the business overall. That's kind of been our guiding light. Like it's difficult as an affiliate media buying business. A lot of the times you're focused on cash flow and generating capital now. But Akatif is dead on, man. You got to have like, it's interesting. They referred to it in Facebook in the early days as your guiding, like your Northern Star. What's your Northern Star principle? Like, how are you? Let's have this one question that like dictates every decision that goes on in the company. And at the time, Mark Zuckerberg's was like, is this going to help us grow our user base? And it doesn't matter if it was going to make them like 10 grand that day or $1 million that day. His question was, is it going to help us grow our user base? And for us, we look at it as like, is this going to become an asset to the business? is this going to be like something that's going to help us sell the company in 5 or 10 years, or is this just going to be like a massive cash cow now, but it develops no assets, right? Because there is a cash value there, but like what you don't make today, you can make up on the back end by building technology in a real business. So like instead of making 500K in the next 3 weeks running a certain campaign that's hot, if you build your traffic source, it could start making 500K a month, but you may not see it for 2 years. So it really depends what you want to do, right? And for us, like we don't want to be just a media buying house forever. We really want to develop into a technology company and also focused on riding the long-term wave of e-commerce, which I think is going to be around for the next 10 years.
Nice. And how big are you now?
Right now, we have the 3 co-founders, and we have about 6 or 7 people that work for us mainly on contract basis.
Okay.
But we're going to be doing our first couple hires in the next few months.
Nice. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it sounds like you're definitely in line with the Akatif school of thought there. He's definitely a good person to kind of be in the same boat with, I think.
No, he's got it down, like, and I totally like got a lot of respect for that guy because he's been through the trenches and he's made a lot of the same mistakes that affiliates continually make over and over again. So to hear it from like the OG that tells you like this is what you got to do, I'm always ears perked whenever Akatif has some sort of knowledge to share.
Yeah, or a bottle of champagne, as I like to bring up. So speaking of shit, there's one topic we'll get to at the end here, but this is another question that came out of left field. It was something that I enjoyed with talking with Jason about, but it's this idea of lifestyle. It's the idea of like why we do what we do. And I've seen you indulge getting into, first of all, you're building your own brand. So I don't know if you're looking for Facebook followers, but you maybe give that out at the end of the podcast. But you're posting really interesting things. I've seen a few F1 champagne bottle popping actions going on. But what is it what's one of the things that you like love that you're doing outside of work that your success in what you're doing allows you to do? Anything yet, or are you just totally focused on the grind?
Work does take up a good chunk of the day, but for me it's just having the freedom to like explore. Like one thing that's been really rewarding for me is like just all my experience in internet marketing has allowed me to help a lot of startup founders. So like whenever I get to meet somebody that has like an idea, like I always like get to share with them like, well, here's a user acquisition perspective on this, or this is like my media buying perspective on this. And it's really helpful because like I've gotten to shape some apps and different ideas and help people figure out how to take something to market. And I think going into the future, one thing that I hope to do is like I want to get into the investing game where I get to like not only just like kind of check on like a seed round or something like that, but be actively involved in shaping products and helping people grow. I think that's really exciting, and that's one thing that I would love to grow as a hobby is being involved in other startups. Because like when you're surrounded with people with the same energy as you who want to build and be involved in online marketing and do cool things, it's like it's a really exhilarating like arena to be playing in, right?
That's still work. but it sounds good.
It feels like play.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Nice. Okay, so this last topic you brought up is something that I just have a little bit experience of because I kind of got really enamored with the idea of influencer networks. When I was at GoToMobi, actually, we were talking about kind of trying to put something together, and I've done some dabbling in the space, and there's some parallels between affiliate marketing, and to me, it was like, okay, this is like an organic style of affiliate marketing where people aren't going to be buying traffic; they're going to have these networks of things that have built up, but then I started talking to these influencers, and they're not savvy like affiliates. They were like, pay me $100 and I'll tweet this, or pay me $100,000 like one of the Kardashians or whatever, and I'll tweet this. But what do you see going on in the space here, and what do you see as some of the things coming up in the space of influencer marketing?
So it sounds like a pretty scary thing to say, but I do think that influencer marketing is going to get killed. I think it's probably I think it's probably got maybe like a year and a half left. At that, it could be as fast as like a couple months. The reason I say this is like I used to actively run like very large Facebook pages, and back like a few years ago, Facebook rolled out their update, absolutely crushed. Like I had pages that were doing like actively 1,000 to 2,000 likes per post, and then the rollout came out, and you're lucky to get it like 100 likes. Like things are just getting crushed. And I just don't see it happening where like there's no equation where somebody is like reselling free traffic that Facebook's giving you, that Facebook's going to be okay with that. And so I think what's going to happen is Facebook's going to take a chunk of the pie. Like they're either going to, just like they charge you to boost posts, they can, I think they've already started developing something where you can actually like do influencer marketing, but it's going to be through their paid channels. But what's going to actually happen for Instagram influencers is when they cut that traffic, they don't have anything of value to offer advertisers. So tomorrow, if the algorithm that applies to Facebook fan pages gets slapped on the Instagram ecosystem, then all these people's reach is just going to just topple. And once that happens, how are you going to charge $1,500 a post? You have no reach. And then at that point, it makes more sense as an advertiser to go boost a post than to go pay an influencer, because you probably get better reach at a better price than to try and go through somebody else. So I think that like it's interesting. It's really hot right now and it's still working. Don't get me wrong. Like at the current time we're looking at it, it's really hot. It's working. But I think there's a ticking time bomb on that, and it's about to go out.
What was your post actually about? Was it about Kendall Jenner and how much she makes per?
Yeah, so I from what I understand, she makes anywhere in the realm of like a couple 100,000 up to 600K per post, and that's because she has 97 million followers on Instagram. But it's like a co-branding deal. But at the same time, like I was talking to the people that were managing some of her Shopify stores, and they were saying that like the transaction volume is just insanity when she tweets or like puts up a post.
It
like
works.
they have Shopify guys sitting there trying to load balance just to try and deal with their traffic.
Oh my god.
So
Well, I heard
yeah.
I heard she stopped a riot with just a can of Pepsi. So she obviously has a huge amount of power. So, but you okay?
Yeah.
So you're saying, and they're basically going to do this because they want their cut. They're not getting their cut currently. They're all of this free traffic is going out there. So it's just a matter of time before it goes.
Well, just think about it this way. It's like somebody's giving you free cable and you're turning around and selling it to your neighbors, right? Eventually the cable company's going to get pissed off. And that's kind of the way to look at this, is just that, like, free traffic is not going to be free traffic for long unless you own it through like some sort of SEO property. But I highly doubt that, like, Facebook is cool with you taking their thousands of impressions and clicks and packaging it up under your banner and selling it to people when they could just easily cut you out. And so there's no real value exchange there in the long term. And I also think that it's going to be very interesting to see what the shakeup is, because influencers are going to have to reinvent themselves. What a value of an influencer is going to completely change, and it's going to be a real shakeup in the marketplace. But I think that, just like people had built entire businesses around Facebook fan pages, thinking that that volume of traffic was always going to be there, when that wave came through, it crushed people and bankrupted them. It's going to happen again with Instagram influencers. So, like, if you don't have some sort of backup traffic, whether it's like through a YouTube channel, an email list, somewhere else where you can reach your fans, the day they pull your plug on you, you have nothing to offer advertisers. You have no reach, because essentially you're a traffic source and you're getting paid to be advertising on your traffic sources, which is your channel, your Instagram channel. And once that goes away, you have nothing to offer.
So does that mean Kendall Jenner will no longer be able to reach her 97 million people at that point? Like, it's crazy because the power imbalances the power has gotten so out of control, where there are influencers that have just this inordinate amount of power, and you think Instagram could just pull the plug on them one day?
So I think there's like a delicate balance in doing this. Like, I think that the algorithm, like what I've noticed is like the algorithm, it does apply to everybody, but there's like certain thresholds that can be beaten if you have like a huge account. Like, for example, like I noticed that like if you have a certain account and you get something like retweeted or shared at enough velocity, it kind of tends to take off on its own. But I've noticed that like pages like Kevin Hart, who has 23 million people on Facebook, even he got hit by the algorithm update, right? Like, he had a massive following. Like, I noticed that like some of his like earlier videos that had like 3 million views had like something like 70,000 shares. And then now the same kind of viewership, like if it gets 1 million views, the video, he's like got like 8,000 shares or something. So it hits across the board. I think just the sheer size of Kendall Jenner's following and the fact that it's dispersed across so many platforms, or sorry, Kylie Jenner, well, they all have huge followings, right?
Yeah.
But like just the fact that it's dispersed across like multiple channels, like they have Instagram, Snapchat, and all these other places, I think they'll be able to ride it out. But I'm not sure what it's going to happen for the people the other thing too is you have to consider that the Jenners have a brand, right? Like they're really well known. It's just like Joe Schmo models that don't really have a brand but have a huge following. Those are the ones that are gonna get hurt the worst.
All you need is for your dad to become transgender, and, and your mom to, yeah. You just need a really historic family with a lot of fucked up issues. I'll talk to my mom tonight about that. But anyways, Paul, it's been awesome having you on the podcast today. I got to run, but to recap here, you can catch Paul on the FBML replay if you want to see his performance from Berlin. You can catch him on the upcoming Facebook Masterclass where he's doing the Invisible Advantage, a sort of next level acceleration module on ads buying. And you can catch him again in Bangkok where he's going to be presenting at Facebook Mastery Live in Asia. And then for your personal stuff, it's Synapse Media. That's synapsemediagroup.com.
It's synapsemediaonline.com. That's our company website. So if you guys are looking for anybody to do agency spend or anything like that, give us a shout. And then you can also follow me. I have a Facebook page. Just look up Paul J. Appel or Paul J on Facebook, and you'll find my page. I post a lot about like internet marketing and what I see coming down the pipe for Facebook advertisers and all kinds of stuff. So follow me if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Nice. And Paul is just another reason why Victoria, BC is the place to be when it comes to performance advertising. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice, man. Okay,
all right,
cool.
Thanks.
We'll keep an eye out for those turquoise cabs.
Sounds good, man.
Okay, see you, Paul.
All right, cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Ewan, and I want to welcome you to Super Affiliate Millionaire. I want to thank you for attending this groundbreaking, one-time only online workshop. Now, I am not sure how long this workshop is going to run, so I would suggest that you lock the door, unplug your phone, get a drink, write notes, and pay close attention throughout the entire duration of this workshop, because this is going to be very, very exciting. In fact, during this workshop, you're going to find out how you can start and build your own $1 million super affiliate business, whether you're a beginner or experienced marketer. You'll definitely get a lot of content, information, and golden tips that you can apply right to your business immediately. I'm going to show you how to get results like this and this from another one of my accounts. Let me repeat, this is the real deal. Whatever that you're going to learn during this workshop is from experience, tried and tested methods, and a proven system that works. So why do you want to settle for measly earnings as a typical average affiliate when there are other websites that can go to like Amazon.com or Market Health? Okay, and some of the hottest topics to target are topics related to health, beauty, hobbies, relationships, sports, money, or sex, right? Adult materials. Okay, and these are topics that if you were to promote a product in any of these categories in the topics, right, it's going to be something that people will want to buy. So to recap, step number one is to choose a product that solves a problem, and you want to choose a product that people are already buying, right? It's popular, it's profitable, it's easy to sell. So you just need to select one product, right? That will become your base to start your business with. So what do you do with the product that you select? After you join the affiliate program, you have your affiliate link. What do you do? This brings us to step number 2. We create a website to introduce the product to the prospects, to the market. It is imperative that you create a website, because a website will provide you with a way, right, for you to communicate with people, for you to have a longer term business, because this is something that you own and you can apply many different ninja tactics and techniques onto your own website. But let's talk about that later. So you need a website to make real money. So what is the best kind of website? What's the best type of website if you want to earn massive super affiliates money? Do you use a content site? How about